Welcome back, everybody, to the Phightins final here on the Edge of Philly Sports with your boy Matty B, joining you for the first time. It's been a minute since we've been together, but I'm glad to be back here on the final. 12:44 in the AM, and that you know what? Good news travels quickly, and I'm glad to report that at 12:44 AM on this Thursday morning, the Phillies find themselves walk-off winners 4-3 tonight in Arizona in a game that was a tale of pitching, especially for the Phillies and Ranger Suarez. Then it became a tale of pitching with the bullpen blowing the game late for the Phillies. And then it became a tale of comedic outfield play for the Phillies and comedic, uh, infield play for the Arizona Diamondbacks as the Phillies somehow found their way to a 4-3 win tonight in Arizona in extra innings. Now find themselves one game shy of a series victory out there in the House of Horrors of Chase Field out in the desert in Arizona. And that game will be tomorrow, an afternoon slate. But more on that game later. Let's get into this game first. Where do I start? I guess we can start with the 15 runs that the Phillies put up yesterday and the 20 hits that they banged out. You knew it wasn't going to be like that tonight. You knew they should have saved a few of those for tonight, and they kind of followed suit. But the Phillies would get things going early in this game offensively. They did what they had to do, kind of, to get things going offensively in this game. The Phillies took the lead 3-0 and backed by Ranger Suarez in a dominant performance. I think it's safe to say Ranger has successfully battled his way back from that injury, and it's definitely a pleasant thing to see because we need it. We need it, and that starting rotation needs to be stabilized. And Ranger went a long way tonight in providing that stabilization. He was in what rare Ranger form, last year Ranger form, I guess, late last season Ranger form, as he just was mowing them down out there for the Phillies in this game. 7 innings, 7 scoreless for Ranger, 4 hits. He struck out 7, walked 2, and really was at lots of points in this game kind of unhittable if you're an Arizona Diamondback, as he really kind of kept things going for the Phillies in this game. As mentioned, once you score 15 runs, they're not going to score 15 every night. And tonight, the runs kind of were hard to come by. The Phillies kind of fell back in some of their offensive woes. 0 for 13 tonight with runners in scoring position. That's never good. They were trending upwards in that category, folks. They had risen their batting average to almost 255 with runners in scoring position, but now the 0 for 13 collar tonight probably will hurt that. As Al will chime in with now this is Phillies baseball. Yeah, it is. It's definitely I guess this is the National League champion baseball that we've been waiting to see all season as they have found their way back to that magical 500 mark too tonight, 34-34 now with 68 games through the season. And a big shout out to Al for covering the late night duties here on the final last night and the night before that. I've been very busy, and not to say that Al's not busy or anybody else isn't, but I just haven't had time or a computer to sit in front of to give a Phightins final. So I apologize for my tardiness, but I also want to give out a shout out to Al for covering me. Again, this is my first time back in about, I don't know, maybe a week. I think the last time we spoke, I know I was going on an epic rant about Kyle Schwarber's struggles. That was probably maybe the Nationals. I don't know. I don't even know when the last time I did this show, but I am back here tonight and I'm glad to be here. But thanks for Al and Pat for covering uh, epically throughout my kind of my tardiness. But back to this game tonight. Let's get into it. The Phillies would get things offensively going first in the second inning. Edmundo Sosa would knock in Bryson Stott on a fielder's choice to give a 1-0 lead to the Phillies. They would take that lead to the third when JT would then fielder's choice in Trey Turner to make it 2-0. And then JT, who continues his resurgence with the home run in the sixth inning to give the Phillies a 3-0 lead. And at that point, we were on cruise friggin' control. There were some, and I know I remember watching this and thinking, Ranger was pitching as well as he was pitching, but the pitch count was up, and you didn't think, or you probably didn't have much left, in this new era of baseball. I wonder if the Ranger Suarez of maybe 15 years ago would have been kept in past the seventh inning or past the seventh inning. I don't know, but the Phillies didn't turn to their bullpen, and it was a disaster. As Sir Anthony came in the eighth and just really did not have any kind of control to start the game. Gave up a walk. Um, the Diamondbacks got 2 on, and then Walker would homer, and all the air was sucked out of my life, as I thought the Phillies were, in the night where the Phillies were in the driver's seat, now they find themselves potentially, walking away empty. It was then 3-3, and then, there was a couple of instances in that inning, where it was really kind of funny because, the Phillies would then win it in the bottom of the 10th, or top of the 10th when, Nick Castellanos was sacked fly in Marsh, who was found himself on third because of a play that occurred, in that inning, in a pop-up lazy fly ball. I don't know what you would call that, but I just it was the back end of a real interesting comedic performance by both teams in the late innings. I'll kind of set the stage for you. It was in the eighth. We'll go to the Phillies comedic part here, in the eighth. So, what was it? Wait, it was in the eighth. Yeah, it was in the eighth. It was in the bottom of the eighth, right? I'm trying to look for it. It was in yeah, it was in the eighth inning where so a fly ball out into the gap in the outfield between Kyle Schwarber and Brandon Marsh. They run into each other. The ball falls in between them. It keeps that eighth inning kind of going for the Diamondbacks, which leads to the actual home run. Uh, just an interesting comedic play. It was actually kind of funny. But then, turnabout is fair play because in the 10th inning, when the Phillies were with a runner on second, had a similar situation occur where, a kind of a lazy fly ball pop up, uh, in between second base and right field. This time it was McCarthy and Turner, would run into each other and cause, the ball to fall in, and Marsh would, find himself on third base, and then the recipient of the Nick Castellanos sac fly, but it was Turner who was at bat for I keep saying the Marlins, for the Diamondbacks, with that play in the eighth inning with the Phillies. So I guess karma is a, what, when it comes to that, but that's how things, I guess they work out. But, that's it worked out for the Phillies as the Phillies win tonight 4-3. Debo says I had a terrible night wagering, but the Phillies at least help lessen the blow with the win. Yeah, this win's a win's a win. And Al hits me back up with JT is on fire. JT is certainly, waking up, I guess, at the right time. And, I refuse to use the words hitting season because I think it's, I just don't like to use it because I want hitting season to be all year. But I guess maybe there's something to it. I don't know. But, 4-3 is your final score tonight for the Phillies as they now put themselves in a position, to take the series tomorrow. 3:04 start. God bless. No more 10 o'clock games, at least for this series. We got the Oakland series coming up, though, over the weekend, which will go right back to the late night hours here on EOP. Aaron Nola will go against Ryan Nelson, tomorrow at 3:40 out there in, Arizona to wrap up this set. But let's finish talking about some of the numbers tonight. And as I mentioned, the Phillies, they put up the 15 runs last night. You just knew they weren't going to do that. Offense was hard to come by for both teams in this game. Phillies, as well. Um, Kyle Schwarber was 0 for 4 with the strikeout or 2 strikeouts and a walk. 174. Listen, I'm not on board with Kyle Schwarber leading off. I'm not on board with Kyle Schwarber actually still being on this baseball team. I think, I don't know. I just I keep looking at the situation with our pitching, and I look at what Kyle Schwarber could or might provide in a trade. I'm not on board with Kyle Schwarber. I think he's a liability anywhere you put him in the lineup, and, I'm just not buying in on it. I'm not. I'm sorry. It's not. Trey Turner, who's been hitting well lately, was 1 for 4 tonight. Nick Castellanos 1 for 4, and then just a bunch of O's and ones. No real offensive standout. The Phillies had to scratch and claw their way to the victory. But as I mentioned in the recap of the scoring, that's exactly what they did, and they were backed, uh, tremendously by Ranger Suarez. He does not figure in the decision though tonight because of the blown save by, Sir Anthony, who only lasted a half inning, 3 hits, 3 runs. They were all earned. He gave up a walk and he gave up that massive 3-run shot to tie the game. Greg Soto struggled a little bit in the ninth, but he did what he had to do to get out of it. Craig Kimbrell, who actually gets credited with the win, pitched a um, pitched well as well, coming in 1 inning of relief, and then Jose Alvarado, who fresh off the IL, picks up the save, his sixth of the year on the on the Diamond. Why do I keep saying the Marlins on the Diamondback side? Kelly, 6 innings, 3 hits. He gave up 3 runs. They were all earned. He walked 4, struck out 7. Nelson Adams and Magoo came in and pitched in a losing effort for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and 4-3 is your final score. And I guess is at 34-34 in mid-June. I mean, is this the time that we can start getting excited again? There's been a lot of talk lately about jumping on or off the bandwagon with the Philadelphia Phillies. Um, I still think this team has got a lot of issues, and I still think this team is gonna have to. We're gonna have to find some pitching somewhere else because I just can't. I cannot like buy into the fact that we're gonna have a bullpen game every fifth day in June to the end of the season. The bullpen is just not going to last. They're not going to make it all the way. They're going to blow out, and there's just no possible way that the Phillies and schedule losses in baseball. It doesn't work for me. So we got to find a fifth starter. The offense seems to be kind of rounding into form a little bit better than more consistent this month. 9-4, by the way, in the month of June. So they are definitely starting to round into form, and they're doing it against quality opponents. The Arizona Diamondbacks are the first place team in the NL West. They took 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers as well. So, you can't hang your hat on the lesser opponent side anymore. So they're finding ways to win, and I guess that satisfies things. But in order to really kind of get themselves back into this, to get a 8, 9, 10 game winning streak, which would definitely get them right back into this, I just don't like. I don't like the makeup yet. I think that's an incomplete product, and we definitely need some more help in the starting pitching area. But Ranger Suarez tonight provided tremendous relief in that as he went 7 scoreless innings on his way to the victory. Let me remind you guys here on Edge of Philly Sports that this show and every other show is brought to you by Cherry Injury, Dave Cherry and cherryinjurylaw.com, workman's compensation, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, and criminal law, 610-565-0300, and Sherry's Tickets. If you're looking for those hard-to-find sports concerts and theater tickets, look no further than Sherry's Ticket Town at www.sherrystickets.com. Family-owned and operated since 1946. Save an additional 10% when you enter the promo code EOP10. And don't forget the good folks down at Dolan's in Ridley Park. If you can find your way down there, now that half of I-95 has collapsed up in Northeast Philly, I'm kind of trapped up here. But if you can make your way down south in any kind of reasonable time, make sure you check out Dolan's Bar down there in Ridley Park, as you'll never know who might walk through the front door. Maybe it's somebody from PennDOT. Like, send them up my way because we need some help up here. So yeah, let's take a look around at Major League Baseball on this Wednesday evening, Thursday morning. Games that are actually still ongoing right now. The White Sox are over the Dodgers 5-4 in the bottom of the 8th. That is the only game actually still going on. Games that have gone final: Braves over Tigers 10-7, Twins over Brewers 4-2, the Giants over the Cardinals 8-5. The Braves beat the Tigers 6-5 in the first game of that doubleheader. I'm sorry, I didn't mention it was a doubleheader. The Mets over the Yankees 4-3, which was their ESPN game tonight. The Blue Jays over the Orioles 3-1. Red Sox over the Rockies 6-3. Rangers over the Angels 6-3. Cubs over the Pirates 10-6. Reds over the Royals 7-4. Astros over the Nationals 5-4. Marlins over the Mariners 4-1. Rays over the A's 6-3, who of course we'll be seeing here over the weekend. And the Padres over the Guardians 5-0. And the big story in town, or the big story of the night, Phillies 4-3 victory over the Arizona Diamondbacks, now 34-34 at the 68th game of the season. Let's go over Matty B's stat sheet, and I definitely want to talk about a couple numbers. And the first number I want to talk about is 9-4 so far in this month of June. We are now 9-4, which is a pleasant surprise based on what we've been through May and April. May we were 10-16. In April we were 15-13, and it was a struggle to get to those points in those 2 months. But June, for the second year in a row at least, has definitely been the Phillies' month as they continue to round into form and have been playing very consistent, a very good baseball so far this month. So 9-4 so far through the month of June, as the Phillies continue to capitalize on that month. And then, as I mentioned, the runners in scoring position tonight, 0 for 13. But prior to tonight, they were actually doing quite well. They had risen their average all the way up from 224, which it was, I think, a week ago, up to 252, which was going into tonight's game. It's going to take a little bit of a hit with 0 for 13 tonight, but that is also the recipe for winning baseball, and they got to get that average up. I mentioned this prior many times. If you're not batting 270 or above with runners in scoring position, you're just not a Major League Baseball team. I don't care what you say, but the Phillies are definitely trending better, and that kind of leads to the narrative that the offense is starting to figure itself out, and they're getting contributions from all over the lineup, not just in certain people. And then you add in the fact that Trey Turner is playing a considerable amount better. JT Realmuto is breaking out of that slump, and he's playing better. Bryce Harper continues to kind of chug along, not quite yet finding his groove. Maybe that's just a matter of time. I don't know. But all in all, it leads into some great baseball and some winning baseball and a 9-4 record through the month of June. So all's well that it kind of is going well for the Phillies right now. So uh, one last thing, Philly sports trips, don't forget them as well. They got some great stuff going on this fall for the Eagles. They also have some great stuff happening right now as we're getting ready for they're getting ready for the Wrigley trip out to Chicago. They're also heading out to Pittsburgh and San Diego. And they also, I believe, posted and made available their 2024 spring training trips for the Phillies next year. So head over to phillysportstrips.com. Check out all they have to offer. You will not, I repeat, you will not be disappointed. Tomorrow, the Phillies will wrap up in Arizona, Arizona against Ryan Nelson, a 3:40 start here in the Delaware Valley and all points in the East Coast, as they will wrap up their series before heading out to the Bay Area to battle the Oakland A's in a series where they can continue to get better, as then they will be faced with a daunting task once they return home next week against the Braves and Mets. So this is that time where they get the opportunity. They got to take it. But all's well that ends well tonight in a weird game out there in Arizona that the Phillies did minimal offense, but did enough to get some offense, had a lead. Ranger Suarez was dealing, bullpen blows it late. And then a series of comedic plays, both for the Phillies and the Diamondbacks, lead to a 4-3 Phillies win in extra innings in 10. Folks, that's going to wrap me up. I'm not coming back. I won't be back for I don't even know when I'll be back. Probably won't be until next week. But don't worry, we got you covered here on the Phightins Final after every single Phillies game. Make sure you're checking back. And until we talk again, go Phils and Harry the K. What you got for me, man?
He has high hopes. He has high hopes. He has high apple pie in the sky.